on the record button. So this is our Q&A call. If you haven't been on the Q&A call before, my name is Tina. I'm one of the customer success managers here at Mortgage Coach. And if you need anything, please feel free to let me know what I can help you with. And Jan, I keep trying to click on you, but it wants me to promote you to a panelist. So if you do want to be unmuted, let me know and I will promote you as a panelist. It's not going to be much different on this side. So any questions that you want me to start with? You also, if you're not comfortable talking, you can also drop it in the Q&A or drop it into our chat box, either one. Setting up the template.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, Tina, I've got another example to have you work on if possible.
Okay.
And that's Vicki Roberts.
Vicki Roberts, let's admin into your account really quick. And this is James, right?
Yes.
Just wanting to make sure who's talking. Let's see what's going on with Vicki.
I did a loan for this person about a year ago, and her rate's on a FHA 13.202, but I've talked to her a couple of times, and I haven't been able to convince her that she needs to continue on and get rid of the FHA now, and simply do a rate and term, or more according to her, because she got cash last time, that she would be interested more probably ultimately in a cash out.
Okay.
And then I liked your investment presentation you did last time too. So.
Okay, so fairly new loan. So we're going to make sure that we click with payment. That one's good. Everything looks good there. So first product, finance of current home. So this one's the straight refi, taking off the FHA.
Yes.
So is anything wrong with this one, or does this one look good?
This one should be good. The next is a mess.
Okay, so this is how I would do the one with the cash out. How much cash are you taking out for her?
Well, I just want to point out what she could take. That's all.
Okay, so here's how you would do it. Copy from that one base. And I always say build this loan, because building the base loan is going to make anything else after this so much easier. So we're just going to copy that base loan. And right now, how much equity can she take?
Well, quite a bit, really, because the value supposedly has gone up from 430,000 roughly up to 544.
Okay, so we're going to do this. We're going to put her equity at 20%.
Yeah.
So doing that, everything else should be the same, but you can see right here now, because I changed that equity to 20%, it's showing the cash out.
Here we go.
So that makes it really easy for you. Now, when you go into that analysis screen, the first thing I would suggest is to grab this amount of cash out, and I'm just going to say 12500. We're going to leave a little bit of money not in this account. So I'm going to go to that reinvestment strategy, come down here, and you're going to start with that 12500. Whatever rate of return you want to place in there, let's be very cautious. We're going to say 7%. Then you're going to be able to see how much more money that they would have. If you want it apples to apples, this 248.20, you can come down here, put 7%, and put her now, instead of saving that money, depositing in that account. Now you're actually comparing apples to apples with the products. Does that make sense?
Tell me that again.
So this one, I put the 120, what she's taking cash out, into an investment account at 7% to get that return. This one, because she is saving the $248 per month,
Oh.
I actually made that investment as an investment monthly investment payment. So if she says, well, let's just refinance the current, I can put the savings into an investment, then she would have that at 7%. But you can see her yield on the investment. This is going to be so much better than this is.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Wow.
So
Okay.
then I'm going to click that here so they can see the difference in the payment still. And I'm going to change it to, because you're working with that, change it to net worth. Now she's going to see, here's where she's at. Here's what happens if she just refinances, invests the principal or savings of the principal. And here's where if she refinances and makes that investment, she is going to almost double her net worth.
Great. And your little, and a video that you would send with it, what would you say in the video?
In the video, I would, let's go ahead and pop up the presentation. So in the presentation, we don't want that one highlighted. We're going to highlight payments. And she is going to be making a higher payment here. So that is the one downfall if she's not comfortable with that higher payment. But if she's comfortable with that higher payment, this is definitely the way to go. If she's not comfortable with the higher payment, you could even do a third product, keeping the same payment and just pulling out the cash, enough cash to keep the same payment. And then years, the freedom point, that's not going to be a big difference. So that's not even going to be a concern of mine. So if I was presenting this to her, I would say, so here's how you can see the benefit of removing that FHA MI. And with as much as you have now in equity, the market is really great in seeing a high return. I've actually only used 7% return, but I really want you to focus on that bottom right corner, that total net worth. You can see in 15 years, you'd almost double your total net worth by using this strategy.
Yeah, great. I got something incorrect in here. The payment that exists right now on the current loan, that is with taxes and insurance. And then the payment would drop down $200, or am I not seeing that right on the, that should drop down to $1,500 on the payment on the second loan. I mean, on the refi. Excuse me. It shows $1,700.
Let's see something really quick. So here's that monthly payment. The reason why you see 1717 is because we're adding in that reimbursement.
Oh, adding that back. All right. Got it. All right.
Yep.
Nope. It's
so any other questions on there?
No, that's just terrific. Thank you.
You're welcome. Let me hop out of your account.
I probably got another one later, but don't worry about me. We'll look after whoever else and then catch me at the end.
Okay. I'm going to go into review settings up templates. Okay, templates, there's 3 basic templates. There is a fee template, a product template, and a strategy template. If you are familiar with Rushing Nesting Dolls, this is how the templates work. So the fee template goes inside the product template. The product template goes inside a strategy template. The basis of the fee template is going to have in the basic fees, not to include your prepaid days of interest, your reserves, and points. Everything else is in a fee template. To set up a fee template, you go into your settings and pull out a loan estimate. Once you have that loan estimate, you can go to your fee template. And the first thing you're going to do is you're going to create a new template. So I'm just going to call this sample. You're going to go down your loan estimate and just pick off the ones that you see. Now, any of those first top ones in section 800 section, those are normally APR fees. So you want to make sure that they are marked. So I would add a fee, and let's say my first fee is processing. Clicking on that P, going down to processing. Clicking on processing, I'm going to say my processing fee is $4.95. I would then add my next one, and you can see APR is checked on that one. Credit report. I'm going to go down to my credit report. If I can find it, there we go. I'm going to say it's $55. Credit report is not an APR. Underwriting. $675, and I'm just going to keep going through that list. Now, here's the ones that tend to slow people down. Title fees. So once I get to my title, that is where I had to see which one I want to use. Nope. Title. Lender's title insurance. This is where now you have a choice. Most title companies go off a sliding rate. So if you know that, you may be able to go in there and just calculate on your last 10 loans, throw them into an Excel worksheet, figure out what percentage that was, add those percentages up for those 10 loans, and take the average. I'm going to say 0.712. And then I can throw that average in here. Actually, it's like 0.00712. But I can throw that in there. Same with owner's title. If you have that as well, it may be a percentage, but you also may be able to go in and just find an average and put it in there. It depends on your market. If your market is more spread out with higher highs and lower lows, I would try to use a percentage. If your market is more within a range of, let's say, 250, 300,000, then I would probably go with a dollar amount. So it's really up to you there. But whatever you decide on it, just remember what it is, because if you do need to go in and adjust it later, you have that ability to make those adjustments. Couple other ones, if you are making refinance ones, go in there and add in your hazard insurance reserves, but don't put an amount in there. Whoops, I wanted reserves. And your tax reserves. On your hazard and your tax reserves, you don't want an amount, because that's going to pull from that monthly cost page. And then you'll notice I have an add all fees to loan. If it's a refinance, I'm going to click this so it's automatically done for me. And those tax and hazard reserves, when you put those months in, you don't have to flip back and forth between the pages to add those in. They're already in there. Any questions on the initial setup of a fee template? And if I did unmute you, I'm going to go in, and I have a ton of people on here today. I'm going to click unmute. So if you do have a question on it, you can unmute yourself. Now remember on this, these are the
So what does the add-off fees to loan do?
Add-off fees to loan is for refinance. It increases.
Is that like
the
rolling
loan
in
amount.
all the costs to the loan amount?
Yep, it increases the loan amount so you don't have to do it manually.
Ah, okay. So then it ends up being like cash from borrower will show probably 0.
Yep, it'll say cash required from borrower at closing 0.
Awesome. Okay.
Yep.
Another quick question on that one.
Any other questions?
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So when you fill out the monthly costs, does it duplicate over into the closing costs?
So when you fill in the monthly cost on how many months to put in the reserves, if you add the reserves in here and you put this, it will put it in there and automatically add it to the loan, but the reserves will push over into here, even if these aren't here.
Okay.
Stephen?
She actually just asked the question because I'm normally going in on the monthly costs and adding them there and getting them added back automatically, I guess, in here.
Yep. This is the secret to making where you don't have to bounce back and forth between the pages.
Okay, that's awesome.
In here, and then you add them to the loan, but just put them at a 0 amount, because without doing that, it's not gonna, you'll duplicate them, and we don't want to duplicate them.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're
So as
welcome.
long as it's a zero amount, it'll just carry over from the monthly cost section?
Correct.
Okay. But doesn't it do that anyway? So if you don't have it in there and you put it in the monthly cost, it just adds the line item in
It
there?
will, but if you're working with a refi, Joe, then it requires you to put in your monthly costs, add all fees to loan, and then when you go do the reserves, those reserves are not added to the loan. So then you would have to come back into the closing cost to add them again.
Oh, so this is if we're gonna roll everything in.
Yep, this is if you're rolling everything into a refi.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
Yep.
Thank you.
And even if you want to standardize your templates, you can add these in here and put them at a 0. It's not going to impact even a purchase if you just want to standardize all those templates, because once you built that first template, you click Save As, and now I can do sample purchase. And I can start, and this is going to be my starting foundation. So now I can go in here and I can add in the fees that I would need. Now I would need my owner's title insurance. And I can go in and just add in the fees, or I can change the amounts. If the amounts are different, I'm not starting from scratch. But having that hazard insurance and property tax reserves in there is not going to change anything on the outcome. Remember, if you did a refinance the first time, remember not to add them for the purchase. So now that we have those fee templates in place, the next thing is to establish your product templates. And basically a product template is going to be anything in that loan products that do not change. And when I say a loan product, I'm talking about an FHA, a VA, a USDA loan, conventional 5%, 10%. Those are products that you have that you're working on solving your client's problems with by giving them that solution. So the first thing you want to do is you want to think, what are the products that I normally offer to my client? So if you're normally offering to your client FHA loans, you want to build out an FHA product. If you've never in your life has touched a USDA, I wouldn't worry about throwing it in there. You can throw it in there because you can do the save as. And the benefit of like the USDA and the VA and the FHA, the benefit of these is that you can place in that upfront fees. So guarantee free or the MI fee, you can place it in that product automatically. So you don't have to worry about what is that VA subsequential use for a client, what is that funding fee and guaranteed fee. And I know it's 3.6, but if you're never working on a VA loan, you're not going to know off the top of your head what it is. You're going to have to go look it up. So it's going to save you time on having to go look up those fees, especially if they're products that you don't use as frequently. But make sure the first ones you build out are the ones that you do use all the time. I'll go through an FHA because it's more complicated than a conventional, but conventional will be set up the same way. So the more specific in the template name, the more specific you can be in your actual presentation. Let's say that I have counties and all my counties have different property tax. First thing I would want to do is I would say county name. And then I would put what it is, FHA 3.5% purchase. So if I do 15 years, I might add 30 year. Again, making it very specific so when I grab it, I know exactly what it is. So now that I know what the product is, I can go in there. It's an FHA. I want to drop in that FHA premium. 3.5% is always what I use with an FHA loan. I'm going to go ahead and put that down payment amount. My upfront premium, 1.75, and I always add it to the loan. So I want it to be checked here to add to the loan. I'm not going to place in an interest rate. That's going to change every single time with my client. So I'm going to leave this empty. Prepaid days of interest, I like using 15 days on my purchases. I like using 5 days on my refis. So depending on which one I'm using, I'm going to standardize it and I'm just going to pick a number. So I'm going to throw 15 on my purchases and I'm going to put 5 on my refis. That's my preference. The term, 30 years, so 360. It is a fixed loan. These two don't matter on this loan. So I'm going to go into my closing cost. Here's where that product template or the fee template comes in place. All I need to do now is go in here, find my FHA purchase, drop it in there. It should be good to go. I just billed it. I'm simply going to apply it to the loan. That would drop in your APR, your non-APR. If you have contributions here in California, owner's title is paid by the seller. So I'm going to go ahead and drop that in there. Exiting off of that, I'm now going to go into my monthly cost. Now here's another second spot, which loan officers get to in their head about sometimes, is hazard insurance and property tax percentages. Again, if I'm doing the counties, I can just drop in the property tax for that county. It's not going to be an issue. I just look it up, find out what it is, and drop it in there. However, if there is maybe 1 or 2 counties in where I'm working that are a little different, I might choose only one to build one. Here in Southern California, 1.25 is pretty standard. I'm just going to throw in that 1.25. Hazard insurance, you can put it in as a dollar amount or a percentage. Same thing I talked about with building out your title insurance percentage, I would do with my hazard insurance percentage. I would take the last 10 loans that I closed. I don't even care what type of loan they are, as long as they're an FHA loan. I don't care where in that FHA broad spectrum that they fall in. I'm going to take those 10, I'm going to divide them out and figure out what that percentage is for each of them, that the hazard insurance they pay per month. And then I'm going to add those and divide it by 10 so I can get an average for all 10. And I'm going to put that average in here. Here in Southern California, they use anywhere from 0.25 to 0.35. So if you're in Southern California, I would say that range is pretty safe. So you might find a range that's safe in your areas for all loans. And if that's the case, you can throw that in there. Then the scrolling down, this one does have MI, so I have that 0.85. It's an FHA. I need to calculate the MI on balance. And what this means is every time that the MI is calculated, if conventional loan and FHA are calculated differently. The conventional loan changes the MI monthly. So they'll calculate it 12 times a year. FHA only does once a year. So they're only changing it once a year. So by placing this, it changes that calculation to once a year. There is no cutoff. If I was doing a conventional loan, I would put 78 in here. Minimum months is the life of the loan. Place that in there. If I'm doing a conventional, my standard is 24 months. I'm then going to place in my hazard insurance, my collecting my 12 months, and my tax reserves. Again, finding a comfortable spot where you're at, and that's what you add. Some loan officers choose to collect all months or show collecting all months, and then they talk through it, or they adjust it if it's not during that time. But you're going to find something that you're comfortable with, and that's what you're going to place in there. Standards I see are 2 and 3 or 2 and 2 and collecting that 12-month premium. So any questions on building that product template? Joe, go ahead and, oh, I unmuted you. There you go.
So it looks like these product templates are really, purchasers benefit from it. And with refis, I mean, is there benefits doing product templates for that?
Okay, let's do a refi template. So refi template's going to be a little bit different. So if I'm doing a refi, let's say conventional refi, I am not going to put in anything in here that pulls over from that current loan. So I'm not going to place in a down payment amount. I'm not going to place in an interest rate. I can place in my 5 days, prepaid days interest. Term, I'm not going to place that in there unless I said this is a 30-year and then I do a 20-year and stuff. But more likely, I'm not going to place it in there because I make my first loan that I always do on a refi the exact same term as my current loan is. So if I had a 30-year, my first product is going to be a 30-year. That's the way I prefer to do it. But if that's not your technique, then you might do one for a 30-year, a 20-year, and a 10-year or 15-year. It's up to you. Now I can add in my closing costs, and I can come in here and I can add my basic refi closing cost, conventional refi. Remember that little secret of making sure these premiums are in there, and that way I don't have to add them later. They're all added to the loan, applying that to the loan. The only thing on a refi that you can't add is you can't add the hazard insurance and property tax because that's going to pull over from your currents, which means you can't put in your reserve months. So you'll have to add reserve months. So the process of doing that refi then would be copy your current loan, switch it to a refi, change the interest rate, drop in the template and add your reserve months. So it does simplify the process because you're taking out those few extra steps of dropping in your prepaid days of interest and your closing cost, but it can't take out the dropping in of your hazard insurance and tax. Does that make sense, Joe?
Yeah, thank you.
Yep. Any other questions on product templates? Now remember, once you built one, you don't have to start from scratch. You take that one, click Save As. Let's say I'm doing a 15% conventional. Naming it and changing what I need to change. Everything else should stay standard. So I'm only going to have to change what I need to change for that next template. So once you have that first established, and I always say, start with a conventional 20% purchase, simple one, and then move from that one because that can be your basis that you move. And then you stay within the conventional loan spectrum. So then maybe do a 20-year and a 15-year. And then from that, move to your FHA loans. So then your FHA loans, remember to add your upfront premium, but most of the other things, your closing costs will change, but more likely your hazard insurance, property tax, and reserve months are going to stay the same. So you're not going in and recreating the will every single time. It'll save you a ton of time. So now that I have those two in place, now I can build a strategy template. And a strategy template is simply going to be products I normally compare. So if I am always comparing points versus no points, I'm going to build a strategy template that says points versus no points. If I always compare a FHA versus a 5% conventional, that one, if you have strategy templates in here, you'll probably find it in here already, FHA versus conventional. And I'm going to go all the way to the bottom because those are the ones that should be dropped in. So FHA versus conventional. If it's not, let's say you do, and I'm going to click on edit so we can go into it to make changes. Let's say you don't use a 5%, you use a 3%. Go in and make that change to the 3%. But what is not in here is it does not include your closing cost. So once you go to this FHA loan, you're simply going to drop your product template. So I would come in here, I would find my FHA product template. What do I have? And then I can drop it. And this one says with home ready, but that just means that my down payment assistance is already placed in here. So if I need to place that in there, it would be already down in here. So I have 5%. I could even leave that as 0 and just place that as I need. But you're going to set it up based on what you need. You're going to do the same thing with your 3% conventional, add from product template. If you have a 3%, drop it in there. If you don't, you can drop in a 5% and simply change it to 3%. So you can manipulate these a little bit, but what's already going to be tucked in there is the closing cost and everything. Now, what's the advantage to a strategy template? When I am going into, and before I jump into that, any questions on the strategy template?
So is it technically a strategy template when you're just comparing anything together, like two products or more together?
If you're doing a purchase and you're comparing two products or more, yes, a strategy template.
Same with refis, right? If there's a couple scenarios that we're running.
Refis, you don't use strategy templates because the process of doing a refi is to always use that current loan as your standard first loan product. So you copy the current and then you make changes to the current. So building out a strategy template is not going to save you time.
Okay, so it's really just for purchase.
Yep, purchases is the best way to use it. I know a few that are using it on refis, but to me, it doesn't really speed up the process.
Gotcha.
Okay, so now that I have, and I'm just reading through questions really quick. Okay, so now that I have this in place, now I can click new client and we're going to use Joe as our new client. I'm going to place Joe in there. And then I would put his first name, last name. I would put in a phone number. And this is standard on any of them that I would use. And I would put, this is going to be Joe's first purchase with me. I'm going to put purchase, and I'm closing him March 2021. Now I'm going to click next. Now that saves the client into my book. So now I can come back here and I can say, okay, which strategy am I going to use with Joe? What's going to be beneficial based on the conversation? Every pre-approval that I do, I'm going to have my standard pre-approval strategy templates that I always have. And what are those standards going to be? They are going to be a points versus points, a different loan amount, and probably an FHA versus a conventional loan. So once I go in there, let's say it's a pre-approval, I'm going to show him the FHA versus conventional. Dropping that strategy template here is going to drop them in here. So all the products are in here. Now all I need to add into this loan is I need to add how much he qualifies for. Let's say he qualifies for $279. I'm going to go to my FHA. I'm going to drop in my interest rate. And I'm going to go to my conventional 5%. Now my 5% conventional might be a little bit more work because I might need to drop in my interest rate and in my monthly cost, my mortgage insurance. If I didn't put a percentage in there, or if I put a percentage in there, I'm going to verify it just because mortgage insurance does have so many factors that come into play. If he's an average client, that 0.54 could be fine. But you see, I have my MI cutoff, my minimum months, everything else is in there. I have a complete presentation without doing hardly any work at all now because I set everything up at the beginning. And that is 100% the most important factor is to set it all up at the beginning because it's going to be time saving at the end. You're going to be able to push things out within 3 minutes. You should be having presentations, even as a new loan officer or even as a loan officer brand new to Mortgage Coach. It should not be taking you very long on a standard pre-approval to push these out if you have everything in place. Good? Any questions?
So that link that the borrower gets to see all this, how long is that link good for on their end?
That link is good forever. Forever. We actually have loan officers that have come to us and said, oh my God, I hadn't worked on this client for 4 years and I just got a notification. They pulled up the old link. So depending on your clients, if they keep it forever, then it's in there.
Okay.
Tina,
Yep.
on the strategy template, where was that again, the starting point on the strategy templates?
So if you have 2 starting points. You can start by going into strategy templates if you have it in there and updating your strategy templates with your product templates. That's really all you're doing, is because you want to add those fees in there. Or you can start new clients and you can put, it says, is this a strategy template? Clicking on yes, it puts the 2 asterisks, which notes in our system, this is a strategy template. And then I can name it whatever I want. So if there's a strategy in there that you want to build, you can go in and build your own. Remember, when building them, only put things that stay stagnant in there. So if I was building this, let's say, I'm going to do a move up buyer. Actually, that one's not good to do. Let's do, what's a purchase strategy? Not used, very common. Oh, I'm going to do a construction loan. Construction versus standard purchase. That's not in our strategies, I know, so I'm just going to give it a name. Once I give it a name, contact information, that pertains to the client. However, being a purchase, I might just add your new home. If you have some basic information in there, let's say I only am licensed in California or 90% of my work is in California, I can add it in there. On the goals, I have to choose a goal. I'm going to choose purchase, and that makes it so I don't have a current loan in there. And then I'm going to skip to product 1, This is going to be my construction loan. And I don't have a product template for construction loans, and I normally don't show them very often. So I'm going to go through and show you on a construction loan the main differences. Down payment, whatever your normal down payment on your construction, that's going to still be the down payment. Interest rate, you're going to leave blank. You're going to place that term in there. And then you'll come down here. I'm going to make sure.
What's that loan funded button do?
I'll talk about that in a minute. So interest only months, I'm going to say that it has interest only months will be the build period. Let's say they're going to be building for 2 years, 24 months. It's a construction loan. Length in build, 24. Rate during that build, whatever that rate is, you'll leave it blank because remember, this is just a template. Everything else is pretty standard. Closing cost, conventional, adding that, my prepaid days of insurance, and then my standards that I always put in there, 0.25, 1.25. Whoops, that would not make me happy living in that county. Let's say it has Melrose. I don't see it very often here. And I can leave that blank. If you have an area that has Melrose with new construction, that might be a possibility. I'm going to then do my standard months. I'm going to add another product, and I do have one for my conventional 30-year. I'm just going to drop in my product template here. 20% down 30-year. And now I'm done. So now when I go into here, and I go to my strategy templates, I will see it built in my strategy templates. So when I'm ready to build out a client, I start with new client, add in client information, click next, click back, and drop in the strategy template. If I just drop it here without a client information in there, it's not going to save it. Or if I add in the client information first, while I'm doing it, it won't save it. You have to save the client before you can drop in the strategy template. So any questions on that?
So it looks like when you named it, you just put it under the client, you did new client and you just put it under their first name, and that's where the name came in on that.
Yeah, when I do it, I actually would fill out my first page. So if I went in here, if I was building a strategy template, I would put in client's first name, client's last name, client's phone number, and the presentation name. Then I would click next, then I would go back, and then I would drop in my strategy template. That would then change the products. And now I'm ready to go in and add in any client specific information.
And I'm sorry, what I was referring to when you were building the strategy template and you were naming it, I think it went under the client's first name is what it looked like.
Oh yeah, when you name it, I'm just gonna go in there. And you click strategy template, client first name, that's the name of the template, correct?
Yeah, okay.
Trust me, if you guys build these out, you guys are going to be some black belt in no time flat. This is really going to be beneficial to you. Do you have a question? Is it being recorded? Yes, it is. And anyone who wants a copy of the recording, you have to email me. Tina is not good at remembering who asked for it. So tina@mortgagecoach.com. That is where you will email it. Difference between the broker and the enterprise edition. Main difference there, William, is the ability to use integration. Integrations are, and I'm just going to go over to the integration page really quick. All the integrations except for 2, you have to have an enterprise account. So that is the main benefit. So any of these in here, and I'll put this down in the chat box as well. So anyone in there that wants to see an integration, if you're considering, is it going to be beneficial for us? then that's going to work. Now, 2 integrations that you don't need an enterprise with. HomeBot, you do not need an enterprise with HomeBot, and Jungo. Those are the 2 that you can integrate without needing us to turn it on. If you go into the Learn More and you scroll down in the Learn More, here is where you can come in and you can see integration information. So it'll show you the benefits and how to turn on. If you can't find the information you need, you can also email support@mortgagecoach.com and they can assist you with getting that information. I noticed I didn't put my Tina@mortgagecoach.com in there. I have a few more questions in these chat boxes. Hold on. Do I always use the current as the benchmark? Yes. And for those of you who don't know what we're talking about there, if I'm building a refinance, and I'm going to go into one that I always have, so we don't have to see the whole build. I'm going to build out the refinance. And I'm going to put in basic information, the goal, and we'll talk about this in a minute because this is another question, is doing a debt consol. Everyone has that turned on now. Current property value. Now, the red indicator means minimum amount of information needed. So I'm only going to put in what is today's appraisal value. If maybe they have extra payments that they're making right now to catch up their escrow account, I can change that minimum or that current monthly payment. This is going to override anything I put in here, but these should trickle over, or they will trickle over into adding up for your current monthly payment. So you don't need to double up and do that work. Property value at last close. Only time I'm using this is if I'm doing a conventional loan with MI dropping off. Otherwise, I don't care what the property was at last value. We're going to have it on the current value. The FHA loan, it doesn't drop off, so I'm not worried about it. Current total payoff amount. Few different factors on this. If they, maybe they had a silent second that has to be paid, then I'm going to go ahead and add that silent second and put it in here as that total payoff amount. Or they had late pays, or they had principal reduction payments. This is going to override that total current payoff amount, so that still is the balance that we're going to be looking at. However, I can also do total current payoff here. So I'm going to put in the basic loan information in here. When was their first payment date? What was that original loan amount? Not how much they purchased it for, but the actual loan amount, current interest rate, and term. That's going to give me, and let's say I'm going to show you, that's going to give me a P&I payment. So if the term was $240, you'll see these adjust. Let's say now I have that term, but now I have a payoff statement and it's for a different amount. I can place in that different amount. It's not going to adjust my P&I payment. So I can always adjust here on that remaining balance. Advantage of using this square versus this one over here is when I start my refi, I copy my current loan. So this is going to pull into that loan. Going on to the next, now hazard insurance amount, I'll add that in there, actual numbers, property tax, actual numbers. If you're not impounding, I wouldn't worry about it. I would leave it blank. And once I have all that in there, then I'm ready to go ahead and go to my first loan. So, and I'm just going to leave this one on. I don't want to mess it up. So when I come here, using it as a benchmark means the very first thing I do is I copy it from the current loan. And then I would click on OK. Once I copy it from the current loan, now I can make any adjustments that I need to make. Adjustments meaning changing the interest rate. I like leaving it as the same term. I can go in, add my closing cost. If I build out that template, that refi template, this would add my closing cost. It would add my prepaid days of interest, but what it would not add is my reserve months. So I would come in and add my reserve months. Once I've done that with the first one, and I'm going to go here and pretend like this is my second loan, I can add another product, and my standard template that I am going to use now is that first loan I created. Reason why? Because it has all the closing costs, everything in there. So again, I'm doing minimal work. I like cutting that work off. So let's say that they want to do cash out. I'm going to copy this. And then once I get into my first or into this loan for cash out, all I need to do is increase my interest amount and increase the loan amount to however much cash out. If it's 20,000, I just add 20,000 to the loan amount and then I'm ready. So it makes it really easy to make those adjustments once you have that first established loan. So any questions on that refi? It is process of procedure. If you guys go through, first thing you always do is build out that solid first loan, current loan. Copy the first, change to a refi, make changes, add closing cost. Then when you go to your second product, copy the first product, make changes, and then you can move to your third product if you have a third product. So having that first established current loan, all right, is really important in order for you to copy from. And those who are not copying from the first current loan, it actually makes it harder because if you're manipulating the numbers and you're trying to manually throw those numbers in, it makes it really difficult. And that's where people end up having mistakes and not knowing what to do or how to fix those mistakes. So always, 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 100% of the time, building a refi, copy the current loan to start your first product. I can't say that enough because that's where I see the most errors. Debt Consol, super easy. When you go into your goals, you have pay off my debt. Clicking into these debts, you can add your debts. So I can add in as many debts in here as I want to add. Let's say they have a school loan. I can come in here and I can say student loan. Where is it from?
Does Fannie Mae 3.2 import bring the liabilities over?
Yes, it does. You're fabulous. Fannie Mae 3.2 does bring it over. I'll show that really quick. I don't have any example files, but I'll show how it can be done. For those who are not familiar with it, and I'm saying we're paying a minimum 3%. And then once I've added in all my debt, I simply need to click off of here. And where I'm going to see the work done is when I click into my product and I'm building out my first product, I will now have a debts button down here. Clicking on that debt button, I can now choose what am I going to pay off? What am I not going to pay off? Am I going to finance it into the loan or not? So in this case, we are paying off the credit card. So we X that credit card box. And we want to finance it, which means it's automatically going to increase the loan amount for me. I'm going to check that box. If I want to see what this looks like for the client, maybe I'm trying to decide which products or which debts to pay off and roll into the loan to make it the best for my client. I can come down here and see, okay, in 23 years, they're debt free and the total interest paid. In this case, it's not going to be a savings, but I can use principal reduction and make them continue making those same payments. And it is then going to show that difference and it will show that savings in there. So we'll go do that next because right now it's not making any savings. But we can see now if the client is only staying in the house for 5 years, this is going to be beneficial for them. They are going to pay off more money if they do it this way, but long term for the life of the loan, it's not going to pay off. So remember to always pay attention to your clients. What are your goals? Why are you doing what you're doing? Long term, 180 months is what it's set off. And 180 months, that's not going to be beneficial for them. So now I can go back here into my analysis screen, and that's where I'm going to do any extra work of principal reduction. Clicking into my adjust reinvestment strategy, refinancing, it's going to save them $632 a month. I'm going to come and I'm going to say same interest rate. We're just going to apply it to the main loan, 632.07. Simply exiting off of it. I like clicking that button again. That brings it back so I can see that savings here. And we're just going to click into the presentation so we can show that output, and I'll show you the difference in the savings now.
So is that savings scenario just comparing the mortgage, or does that include the minimum payment you're not paying for consolidating that debt?
So on this, it will include all the payments. So when you come into here, you have your non-mortgage debt payments here. So those are included into the scenario. This, you don't see it because I didn't click has debts. So that's why it's not showing up the debts in these two, because I didn't touch them. But these are the current. So they're going from 1,900 in non-mortgage debts to 1,700 paying in non-mortgage debt.
So that's okay. So that's 632 is what they're saving on the mortgage payment and what they're saving on from not having those credit cards.
No, up here it will only show. Oh yeah, no, it includes everything. You're correct. It includes everything in that payment. So that was the total savings between the two payments. That includes everything. Right now, this payment shows more. Let's go back over to here because I have that reduction payment in there. But on the output, you can see now instead of the 89, because we're doing principal reduction, that's 60,000. So even if they were to keep the home for the life of the loan, it's 60,000. They're now going from 23 years to 18 years, definitely putting my clients in a better financial position. And here they're still saving money here with that short-term time frame of almost $10,000. So if you have that couple that's on the fence saying, hey, we might keep it for the life of the loan, we don't want to roll it back into a 30-year, tell them to do the principal reduction, keep the same loan payment because obviously they're comfortable with it. They don't want to refi, but now I'm putting them in a better situation, paying off their loan 5 years faster and saving them $10,000. Make sense? And Joe, you can unmute yourself. You're good.
So is there any way just to, if you're doing like the cash out, is there a screen that comes up where you see where the monthly payment savings are?
So if you're doing cash out on a loan, you're going to see in most times, if you come back and you do principal reduction on top of cash out, you'll still see it in the net worth.
Okay.
So in this case, the one downfall that that I don't like myself is that we are not including that mortgage debt in their net worth initially, but when you refinance it and you and if you're pulling cash out or if you're increasing the loan amount, then you will see it in that time frame. So that's the one downfall, is that the non-mortgage debt is not included in your net worth initially. So if you agree with me, you can go in here to the help button and up here on submit request, go in there and tell them, please, we would like to have the non-mortgage debt included in the current loan net worth. So that to me would then be comparing the apples to apples in that net worth chart. So here you can see, you know, it's showing interest in MI net worth. Well, it's the same. It's in 15 years. Let's put 10 years. No, it's going to be, we're saving enough money because of that second loan. So it's not going to show there. They're still saving. So that's the one that I do caution people when you're comparing net worth. Any questions on that?
Did you go over what that loan funded button was?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Okay, I'm just clicking off which questions I answered. We do not have anything associated with Bonbon, James, at this point. So I really don't have much to talk about over on Bonbon. So sorry on that one. So loan funded. When you have a loan that funds, You can come in here and click on the loan funded button. You can say which loan they chose, and I'm just going to say they chose with the payoff. Put in the date that it funded, and I'm just going to put in a random date, and then save it. And once you do that, you're going to see the funded. Now, what is the advantage of doing this? The advantage is when you go into your search all, you can actually do a search all for funded loans. It's not going to be advantage right now, but let's say in a year, you're looking for loans that you can refinance that you funded a year ago and you want to do an annual mortgage review. I can come in here and look and open them up and see which one's ready for an annual mortgage review. This is especially, well, it's going to be helpful for everyone because we are going to work towards having an actual automated annual mortgage review, and that's the prep work right now. But until that's in place, any new loan officer that, check your loans every 4 to 6 months and just throw it in front of them, keep your name in front of them, and that's for referrals. If you did a great job, you're still going to be getting referrals off of them, and let them know at the close that you're going to continue staying in touch with them and staying in front of them. So this is, and I would do it probably quarterly or twice a year minimum. If you're a new loan officer, you should have that extra time to come in, check them, and be able to throw that in there for them. Back to my list. Did that one. Strategy templates to show up as an option in your dashboard. Right now you have recent clients and recent views and automated. Nothing says strategy template. Cindy, in order to do strategy templates, you can build your own. Click on new client, put it is a strategy template, and build out that strategy template. As soon as you build out that strategy template, you will see a strategy template pop up. And what it is anyone who has an account that's older than November 2018 does not have strategy templates. That's when we implemented strategy templates. But you can 100% build out your own strategy templates. And my preference would be to build them out myself. Reason why is I am OCD. And so I only like what I use in there. So that's why I would prefer to build them myself anyways. And they're super easy to build. And we're almost up to the end of time. And I know, Larry, that you have a scenario to go over. All the questions are answered. If you are still, and you are, Larry, if you still want to go over that, I don't have anything present that I have to be at right away, so I can do that still for you.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right. Do
I
you
just
want to
have
get
a
into?
quick question
Yeah.
before I leave. The cash to close amount, I noticed it's not accurate to what encompasses. Is there anything I can do to like fix that?
How off is it?
It's like $600-700.
So cash to close, it's probably something in there missing on your cash to close. What you can do is click on that help button, or actually I would send an email. I would send an email with your loan estimate and the presentation link over to our support team, support@mortgagecoach.com, and ask them to review it and see what's missing because you're off $600 whatever dollars.
Okay, cool.
They'll help you out.
All right, awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, Larry, who are we working on?
The Glenn Perry, number 4.
Number 4, Glenn Perry. Okay.
So here's just kind of the real gist. Did a 10-year loan, 3-4 years, I don't know, a year ago, I guess.
Okay.
Want to go ahead and just refinance it to a 9-year. They don't want to increase the loan. And, if you go down to the presentation on this one, that will work.
Oh, you want me to go on the analysis page?
No, I was thinking more. Let me open up mine so I can tell you where I want you to go.
Okay.
Well, probably the short-term savings part. I actually put 109 years in that. And we're going to talk about their interest, what they save. So if you go down to presentation, I believe. And then the short term, or is it the monthly? Oh, it's long. I can't go on it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the monthly. So do I have 109 payments?
Well,
That
let's look
doesn't look
at
right.
this. So here's where you have 108
108,
payments
yeah,
in
for
those.
all of them.
So that should be good.
I guess my question is understanding the interest that is saved. If you just took their principal and interest payment between one interest rate and the other
Mhm.
and times it by 108, one of them would come up to say a couple $2,100, but your savings shows 5,000, as you can see on the right there.
Mhm.
So what am I not understanding? Because people are saying, well, what's my payment difference? It's $15 a month. Well, that's not really much. So
Yeah.
you can see right there, but you take 15 times 109, 108. All
Okay,
right,
let me explain what we're doing here, and this will help you and help you be able to explain to your clients.
Yeah.
So these are your monthly savings, and here, of course, the benchmark is more expensive, so they're saving $13 here, $15 here, and $59 here per month. So that is going to be less, but you have to remember when you're making a monthly payment, part of that monthly payment is going towards interest and part of it's going towards principal. So on this loan, you have 3.25 interest. So you have a higher amount being applied towards the interest, which means less money is being applied towards your principal, and therefore your principal is staying higher. Where if you lower that interest rate, less money now is being applied towards the interest, so they can apply more towards the principal. So even though the payment here is only a difference of 13.15, there is more money being applied towards the actual principal, paying this loan off faster, and therefore it's going to allow you to have, or paying it off the principal more. So therefore it's going to have you paying less interest. What I have calculated here is I am taking the interest in MI total plus or minus the closing cost. So in this case, it looks like it's a no cost loan, $69 is what I show them getting back. But the difference between these two is $5,000 in that 9 years. So
And that is correct, 'cause I did amortization schedules
Uh-huh.
and that is pretty much right there. So that did validate those savings. My thought, I just took the principal and interest times 108 and said, okay, you're gonna save $2,000, over this loan. But that's obviously not correct, where your program is helping me understand. No, they're saving a lot more than that.
Yeah, so even though they're paying it off in the same time frame, their interest payments or less is being applied towards the interest, more towards the principal.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
It does. So one last question on this one. The far right one where they're
Mm-hmm.
gonna pay 2,200 bucks in fees,
Uh-huh.
somewhere in that range. Let's say they want to pay off, they're gonna make extra payments, they're gonna pay the loan off in 6 years.
Okay.
How would I change my presentation on that far right one to say, okay, if you're gonna pay it off in 6, do I just take 6 times 12 and make
This
that
is what I
72?
would do. I would go into my analysis and I would go into my adjust reinvestment strategy. And let's see what
Oh,
$59.99 is going to do. That is going to make them pay it off in, it's not adjusting. Did it? Oh, it did adjust. So that's going to be a little bit of an adjustment. So let's say an extra 150. 300, 350, and I'm going to find that point. And this is why, and I'll show you the talking point to this. So it's going to be quite a bit difference in payment.
yeah, well,
So 650.
800 probably.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
okay.
800 is really close. So it's an extra 800, which ends up being $740. But here is my talking point to here. So, okay, I get, and I'm just going to reopen it so we don't have to wait for it. I get that you want to pay it off in 6 years, and I commend you for that. That's great. However, sometimes in life we're thrown curveballs. And just in case you are thrown a curveball, if you want to choose to, you can still choose to go and you can pay off, or pay just the lower amount. You are locked into this lower amount of the 1835. But if you choose to make the extra principal payments, you can, and that is going to save you more money and time.
Mhm.
So that's how I would position it if that's what they're considering. But honestly, with today's market, that extra principal payment, unless they are really in a financial spot where they need it paid off in 6 years to retire, I would actually suggest them, and I would do a fourth product for them, and I would show investing it. Invest that same $800 into an investment account at a very, because if they're older, especially, you want to make sure it's a safe investment. So I would use a 4 or 5% return down here with that investment and showing the compounding investment, because 3 years difference is not going to make a huge difference with that house, but it is going to make a huge difference with them having a liquid account.
Mhm. Okay.
Okay. Any other questions?
One really smart, small one. If you go to client, just the very beginning,
Uh-huh.
and you put if you scroll down, you put their phone number in there, but then you go to the next page and you put it in again. Why is it in there twice? So you're right there on the top then.
Yep. So here is the deal. This phone number here that you place in here, every time you get that alert that says, hey, Glenn is in the presentation, this is the phone number that it's using. So whatever contact phone number you want for that client that they're actually answering, then that's going to be this phone number. On the next page, this phone number, they might choose to only put in their work phone number, or this is typically the application phone number. This does not need to be filled in.
Right.
Only if you're using it like a CRM and you want to save it for later information, then you'll place that information in. But most loan officers, they don't fill in that information in the top and they don't fill the information in the bottom. The only thing that shows up on the presentation is this middle section.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. Great. Thank you.
You're welcome. And James, your hand is raised. Did you have a question before we jump?
Well, only if you have time. I've got another client in there, and I got a few things I could use some guidance on.
Okay. Let me admin into yours.
It's Carmen Della Bella.
Carmen. Oh, it looks like you're in it. Can you please click on Mortgage Coach in the top or left?
On your top or left, mine?
Yours.
Yeah, right. Get rid of it, right? Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to see you click on mine.
I know. How could that happen? All right, good.
And I'm just giving it a minute to clear. Usually takes just a minute. Remember, I know a lot of you are still on here. If you want a copy of this live, go ahead and email me, tina@mortgagecoach.com, and I would be more than happy to send it over to you. So thank you guys for anyone who came, and hopefully this was helpful for all of you.
Wow. I'm going to close everything out of my computer just in case I got something.
Yeah, sometimes you have to jump back in it and jump back out because it's all about how you get out of that account. So while we're waiting, anyone in the stock market make some of that crazy money?
No, I didn't even know what was going on. I wasn't paying enough attention today.
Oh my goodness. Yesterday I made 850% return on one of my stocks.
Oh my.
Yeah, they're playing a game against the hedge funders. and I don't care about the game. I can care about my pocketbook. So
Right.
I have no problem jumping out.
So,
Hold on. I'm going to jump out and jump back in and see if
so Tina, do you still originate in addition to working here?
I don't originate. And the reason why is I am not good at not being in my phone. Single mom, 4 kids at the time when I started mortgage. I still had all 4 kids at home, and it actually wasn't great for my family life. So
You look like you're 24.
I will be 50 this year, and I'm pretty proud of it. And I'll actually turn on my camera for those who have not seen. I'm pretty proud of the fact I will be 50 this year. I don't look my age, which is fabulous. But I have 4 kids. My last one is 17 and she's graduating. And I will be moving out of my rental because I've been renting while she finished school because I have no desire to stay where I live. And possibly moving into my conversion van, which is a little fun, or buying a place, a little loft somewhere where I can just be in my own space.
And you'll just do this remotely then?
Yeah. So Dave and I have spoke about it as well as several other people within the company. They are excited for my adventure. Dave actually is considering buying a conversion van himself if I can make it so the lives work really well and I don't have any problems. Him and his wife Kelly also are considering buying a conversion van. So James, it doesn't look like it's gonna let me into that one. If you want, actually today, I'm only working a part day. If you want to, let me look at my calendar. What do I have open tomorrow? What time zone are you in?
Oh, you name it, I'll be there.
I can jump on as early as 7 a.m. and I'm in California. So
And I'm in Arizona, so that'd be 8 a.m. That'd be good.
can you do that? Okay. Send me an email as a reminder. I will set up us a time that we can jump in together, and hopefully it won't be a problem for me to jump into that one at that time.
Terrific, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, everyone. Hopefully you guys have a great weekend and stay safe out there.
Great. Thanks so much, Tina.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye.